Hello, Malton. It's me, ZGG, bringing you part 3 of my November 6, 2020 conversation with Ms Morgueasm of the Malton Medical Staff, whom has just today returned to Malton after a 10-year break. Before her break, she served as a legendary head administrator for the Malton Medical Staff, married a zombie, and so much more. Ms Morgue is a role model for role-playing, and I'm proud to present to you this next bit in our chat. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Maybe it was my own trenchy, thinking oh, I could never be a zombie. What are you talking about? And then someone mentioned to me, well, you learn how the other side thinks, and you learn how they play by playing a zombie character. So I actually joined Mob.
Oh, really? Mob. The Militant Order of Barha.
Yeah. I was wiggling Jinxie for a very short time.
Mob is still seen around the Fort Perrin area. Is that where you hung out, or what were they like back then?
I don't even remember. I don't remember at all. I just remember I made that because I wanted to see what it was like being a zombie. Besides just getting killed and then going and standing in a park and being like, "Murr," give me a revive.
Yeah, the old Murr cows.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What a throwback.
This game is littered with such a cool, unique culture.
Well, even just looking at the Malton Medical Staff page, which I put blood, sweat, and tears. I made a lot of the stupid posters and stuff that are on that page on the Wiki.
Oh, you're responsible for a lot of that propaganda, huh?
Yes, that's all me.
Wow,
all of that stuff was stupid me and my little paint shop pro or whatever.
They're hilarious.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on those things because
it's the perfect combination of goofy but almost realistic, you know?
Well, it's like the old World War I, World War II posters, don't get syphilis, that kind of thing. So I was like, hey, we'll take care of your infection, no problem.
Oh man, one of my favorite things about Urban Dead is how much people add to the game. The game is very, very basic. If I showed this off to a friend who's never played it before, they'd look at me like I was nuts.
How could you sweat over, okay, so you get 50 action points, okay. And, how can I min-max this to be, the best character I could possibly make? Oh, wait. So, Morgueasm started off as a scientist. I had no idea what I was picking.
That's a tough one, because you get, I'm trying to think, you learn how to use operating equipment, like a DNA extractor, so you get, 5 experience points for tagging a zombie that's never been tagged before.
Which is stupid as hell, because everybody's tagged every zombie, 400 times before I even got to it. So that was Morgueasm. And then my new character is actually, it's based off a D&D character I play named Toki Grimshy.
Okay.
She is normally, in D&D, she's a 700-year-old wood elf that's, had so many children and has been married, 1 million times and is racist against humans and, has, dentures because she has, a meth addiction, so she lost all of her teeth. And her dentures are made out of random animal teeth.
Oh god.
So there's a shark tooth, and then there's coyote, and then there's some random human teeth, and then there's teeth that are made out of things that shouldn't be made.
Ugh.
So I was like, who do I want to put into Urban Dead? Totally Toki. So I brought her into Urban Dead, still hooked on meth, still elderly as hell, and definitely had 90 children at some point, but now she's a firefighter. I was like, well, at least I get to use axes, and that's fun.
Firefighter, I think, is the easiest, best way to level up. The old school whack and fack.
Yep, I'm good for it.
Yeah, every once in a while, if Roftwood isn't being actively invaded, You know, we don't have no PKer group like in town turning the place into a Wild West, or we don't have some freaking zombie group like chomping everyone's brains and stuff. We'll like, you know, drop the barricades down in the hospitals to VSB, and it's built in the game that new characters spawn in VSB lit buildings. So we'll try to bring like the police departments down to VSB during like non-threatening times. Like on the wiki, you can classify the suburbs into different color groups based on like the immediate threat level.
I forgot that was a thing. And so when I was on the Urban Dead wiki, I'm looking and I'm like, oh, but I also remember that nobody ever kept these up to date, really?
Yeah, it's kind of heartbreaking. I did one of my RCC Fireside Chat series with Bob Moncrief, who's like single-handedly the human being responsible for keeping the wiki alive. Like that man, he runs the Urban Dead Wiki Discord, which is, I believe, the most popular Urban Dead-based Discord.
Oh, wow.
And he's just a gem of a human being. He's went to school for like in real life for like anthropology and stuff, so he just has a brain wired to be interested in like keeping facts and historical things in like a systematic regimented type like process and stuff. And for some reason he just loves all that bureaucratic stuff. He's really kind of put the mantle on and like kept those old school traditions alive, like nominating the sysops and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
He's one of the few guys that can reach out to Kevin Davis, like the game's creator, and Kevin will like reply to him like immediately, you know?
Oh my god. God replies to him?
Yeah, our great creator. But Bob Moncrief is he's a top tier person. I really appreciate what he's done for the game. I've always kind of avoided the wiki aside from like goofy role playing type stuff. Like my trench coatiness was always like, well, if I update buildings and stuff, then the zombies and the PKers are gonna see them, and then they're gonna like, that's like open season advertising for like, hey, come mess us up or whatever. So I'd always kind of like not be interested in advertising them to come swarm us. I know it's kind of trench coatery and stuff, but it's honestly just the weird paranoia trench coaty thing that I still kind of carry a little bit.
I mean, it's definitely warranted. I almost feel like I should get like a Girl Scout badge when that happens. Like, I was killed by this guy. Like,
alright, let me share something with you.
Okay.
Here, check this out and scroll down to the bottom. And when I first came back to the game, I'm like, you know, recruiting folks onto this RCC Discord, and I'm just like really kind of jumping in the action. Like when I see zombies applying pressure on a building, I wanted to like show the zombies that we weren't just gonna run away every time they came into our suburb. So I finally get the RCC some kind of like fighting force power and stuff. And the first group that really kind of like challenged us was this new school group that started in 2016 called the Scourge zombie group.
Okay.
And before I started doing the podcast, you'll see in my journal, I started doing fan fiction.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah, I kind of made like a comic book.
Cute.
Yeah, I kind of did a thing where it's like my perspective as like a player in the game when the Great Scourge and a Rockwood, they whooped us apart, like just whooped us. But I tried to make it fun, you know, I gave them respect and stuff like that. Like I, you know, talked them up into this like the fearful, terrifying, like eat all, destroy all group that the Scourge is. But yeah, one of their users made that badge at the very bottom of my profile called like Special Treat. This user is considered one of the better tasting survivors of Malton. They like took my old logo, put candy around it.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
Yeah, it's cool, you know, I'm a target. They like to kill me first whenever they see me in a building, and it's just like a thing, whatever. You know, I get revived. Part of the fame is that, like, you know, yeah, I get targeted first, but I also tend to get revived first as well.
Yeah, yeah.
They always feed me to their babies and stuff, like the babies, kind of like how we do whack and facts to level up survivors. They'll like let the babies get
They call the babas.
Yeah, they'll get the babas get the killing blow. So I've been I'm like a special treat for a lot of zombie babas. I'm responsible for leveling up a lot of our enemies.
I think that at that point you should just like open your arms and be like, come to mama.
They kill me
Come
so
on.
fast or whatever. I'll be paying attention and stuff, and like I have so many screenshots of literally being killed like under a minute or whatever.
Just make sure it's fun. Like as you get eaten, like say some like really epic last words. They love that. They really do.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do when things are getting kind of stale in Roftwood is I just launch these tours over to Nicoles Mall next door, because Nicoles Mall is like the ultimate battleground between Ridley Bank and Roftwood. Like if I ever really want to poke the beehive to the RRF, just start like getting my fingers in Nicoles Mall, because Nicoles Mall is like under 10 tiles from the Blackmore building, and it's on like the northern border of Stanbury, which is like right on the southern border of Ridley Bank. And that mall's, I would say, the most haunted mall in Malton. Nicoles Mall is like just pretty much a zombie mall most times of the year. And there's this really dedicated group of ferals. They're not really organized, but they're just kind of like a community of zombies that since I've returned in 2017, they've always been there. And they put up a really good fight. They're very active, very fierce, and Nicoles Mall is their home. So when we invade and stuff, it's pretty balanced, us fighting them. And then if we start getting the upper hand, like if we're hanging out in Nicoles Mall for like a solid 7 days, the RRF usually sends a force down to tip the scales.
I'm amazed you can even hold it for 7 days. There's so many times.
That's our record, and we've only done it like twice.
That's still pretty good.
In 3 years, we've only done it twice. The kilt store isn't around really anymore, so it's kind of heartbreaking. They used to be big survivor folks defending Nicoles Mall.
Who was it that used to defend Krager? There was a specific group.
Kiger Mall Survivors.
Yeah.
CMS. These days, it's the Soldiers of Crossman, SOC.
Okay. Sounds vaguely religious.
Actually not religious. There's a police department in the area called Crossman Grove Police Department, and that's where they kind of got founded in. But yeah, Nicoles Mall, what is it? This gentleman named the Funky Pirate. Like I went and visited him on Halloween, but yeah, during the sieges and stuff, I'll like go outside and like entertain him. I have a couple screenshots of like, I'm like, you know, I just set up a bar outside of the corner that they're sieging and stuff, and like, dude, I get like sweaty because those guys are very active and stuff, so I try to like keep my little skits as short and sweet as possible. But I go outside the corner one time that they're sieging, and I just like do this little role-playing scenario where I set up a bar, and they're like clawing at me, you know? And so whoever clawed at me, I'd look at their profile, and I'd like see who it was, and I'd hand them a drink. And then the next part, like by the time I like text that out, someone else claws at me, and I see their profile, and I like hand them a drink. And it was like, eventually one of them like laughed at me and called me like a Harmon bartender or whatever. Yeah, it was, it's just good times. I like to visit them. What else do I do? I play like guitar for them and stuff like that. And when they're standing outside a corner, I'll like, one of my signature things is I'll put cigars in their mouth. So I'm just like, Zombie GG like leans against the corner of the mall with like Zombie Josh Holmes, Funky Pirate, and Stubb 75, and like opens a box of Cuban cigars and puts one in each of their mouths, puts one in his own, and strikes a match and lights everyone's cigar with it and stuff. And it's like, yeah, you know, guys, it's pretty fun. Just want to see what you're up to and stuff. Looks like you're just hanging out. Thanks for, you know, giving us a show. I hope we're like making it fun for you. Enjoy the fight and stuff. And I don't know, man. I love the zombies. I really do. Like I said, I made the public access thing to try to entertain frenemies and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it really changes your perspective being able to hear how the player of said zombie that is always freaking there, like breaking down your barricades and stuff and swiping at you. I think it changes how you look at them when you can finally talk to the player and just share stories. Like, I think they're amazed when you just like waste action points, like just talking to them or like making a skit with them or setting them up in like weird positions and stuff like that, dressing them up in weird stuff.
There's this RRF zombie named Glubba who's been very active the past couple years, and like my skit with him is I just like Whenever I come across him, I put a bottle of tequila on top of his head that's just eternally there. So whenever I see him, I'll just like rip the bottle of tequila like off his head, take a swig, put it back on there. Then I'll always try to like shoot the tequila bottle off his head, but I'll just miss him and shoot him in the head instead and stuff. Yeah, so Gleva, if you ever see them, feel free to take a swig off that tequila bottle. I don't know, just goofy little crap like that, you know? Because I need the zombies, I really do. It gets scary sometimes when like you look at the game stats and the zombies go down to like low 30%.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've ever seen it where it was mostly survivors. I think I've seen it where it was less survivors than zombies.
It's gotten scary at times, so that's kind of why I run like 2 zombies.
I think you have to have that balance. You absolutely have to. Because if it's just humans, they get bored and they start killing each other.
That, or they log off and they're done, and we just, because they're bored, you know? So it's like my whole thing when I play Urban Dead as like someone who really loves the game and community is I try to like make it fun for everyone so everyone's logging in. You know, that's like my whole goal, because I want the game, it's not about winning for survivors anymore, it's about keeping the game alive, you know, and it's about the only way to keep it alive is keep people logging in, the only way to do that is keep people having fun and engaged. Now, that's what I did with the RCC, is I tried really hard to foster a community that everyone could be a part of based on whatever playstyle you are or whatever.
That's cool though.
It was tough, let me tell you. I've never tried anything like that in my life, and it took a lot of effort. It took a lot of getting to know a lot of different people and trying to work together on a lot of different things, and there was little pockets of drama and stuff that I had to like work with groups. You know, it's like when we find out that one of the groups in the RCC, this DGM group, Dempsey Grove Mercenaries, they got accused of zerging, and that was like a big drama deal, and so I'm trying to work across the aisle with the zombie groups to make sure that they're not just being salty, you know, calling them zergers, and trying to work with them too, and that was the first big headache in my RCC run.
That's the hardest thing about being a leader of any group or even just an organizer, is that yes, people are going to be zerging, and it's at times going to be really hard to figure out who is doing what when. And if somebody else claims to have evidence of this, then you got to look at that, and then you have to even wonder if it even matters, really.
It was hard because I wanted to build a good relationship with the Ridley Bank Resistance Front, and they were like hell-bent. Like, they made a huge wiki article and stuff with all their like evidence and theories and stuff, and that was the first time I ever talked with like who I'm very happy to say now is my good friend Lord Mullick. But when we first started talking in voice and in Discord, it was not very peaceful and stuff.
Well,
you know,
because
like,
how many years did he probably have people, you know, trying to one-up him or play this like trenchy role at him?
And I was kind of guilty of it too, you know, like I thought, you know, my initial instinct was like the trench coaty thing, like like you're a zombie group, you're just being salty that this group's like besting you, you know, and stuff like that. But I honestly in my heart of hearts wanted to foster a thing, so I like listened to them and listened to the evidence, and like we spent hours in voice chat, like kind of really going back and forth, you know, not swearing, and that's the thing why I respected Lord Mullick out the gates, because like he wasn't coming at me like a salty guy, he was coming at me like someone who really actually just genuinely cares about the game and community, and he was presenting this as like, you know, like he could recognize all the time and effort I was putting into what I was doing with the frenemy thing, and I think he was honestly just trying to like guide me correctly, and it just took a long time to like for me to burn my trench coat or whatever and just accept, you know, that like it's a different game now with the Discord and stuff. There's a lot more transparency, and if you're gonna have like organized play, then like, all right, well, let's get these guys on Discord, let's get some transparency in some of these characters that were, you know, that are on the hot seat for the Zerg accusations.
I noticed the same thing with my latest D&D group, where just even last year, like before anybody was really heavily on Discord and everything else, where, you know, the different groups all had their, because it's basically a sandbox where we're playing just like this, where one group does something, another group over here does another thing, and sometimes there's ripples where it affects you know, in the in-between, or, you know, maybe it straight on affects the other group or whatever. But nobody knew what the other group was doing. There was no transparency at all. It was all this like speculation, and speculation can really just breed all kinds of terribleness. So it was really making a lot of things ugly for all the players in this D&D group. And once we kind of like start to get more active on Discord, and, you know, really start talking about the things that we were doing as players in this game, it opened up a window of like opportunity. Hey, let's talk. Hey, maybe we should travel together. Hey, you know, I know a little bit about this. I could help you. And I think it's the same way with Urban Dead, where once you're able to get onto an outside server and just be human beings that are, you know, this game is filling a void. It's bringing joy, it's bringing, you know, tactical, it's getting friends together, maybe, you know, once a week or every couple of days or whatever. It helps you to not take it so seriously, like to not stay in that trenchy, like, I must kill everything that isn't me mode. I think that was the biggest struggle for MMS, was that we were trying so hard. I was trying to like bring people that I played with in the browser, outside of the browser-based game, onto a chat platform or onto a bulletin board, and it was difficult.
It takes a lot of energy. That's something that I can say about that matter. I was spending hours every single day.
They're already spending so much time in this browser-based game. Why would they want to also open up this Pandora's box of, hey, you know, we could chat too, and not like waste XP, like, or AP. We can chat outside of the game. Oh my god, we can?
It adds a thick dimension. I'd say it's almost like twice as much. You know, at first for me it was like the in-game, and then after like I'd burn my points, I'd gravitate to that little wiki button. You know, and then that was my first, like, I was spending a lot of time on the wiki, and then the wiki was bringing me to forums back in the day.
Yep.
And then I was spending a lot of time getting in the forums and seeing how different people set up their forums and stuff like that, and how different people were keeping things engaged and operating. But yeah, you know, this game has a lot of depth and a lot of ways you can sink a lot of time other than just those 50 action points, one every half hour.
I always wondered if it was a sort of Stanford prison experiment. You know?
Jeez.
Because
people get into it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I got into it. Like, I've had to, like, literally take breaks or whatever from the game. The DGM drama with that Zerg accusation thing, I ended up, like, talking to a bunch of the big role players in the group, like, not just, like role-playing characters, but folks in my community who are just, like, big-time, like, helping me out, like Lostfire. Eternal gratitude. Spent a lot of time venting into Lostfire's ear about, you know, the stress I was going through dealing with a lot of these, like, trials. And the DGM thing was wicked stressful. We eventually were like, hey, well, you know what? We, like, offered a solution where they join us more transparently on Discord, and they're not really doing it. And then they started getting just, like, kind of nasty in the way that they're, like, counteracting, like, the accusations. Like, they weren't really doing it, like, in any kind of, like, cool way. They're doing it kind of, like, immaturely or whatever, and that wasn't really making me want to defend them, you know?
At that point, you know what? Okay, you guys want to survive doing your own thing? That's fine. We're not going to mess with you.
Yeah, we kind of just exiled them, and then they got super salty and went away. Well, like, the leader went into, like, a PKer group in some other part of the city for a bit, and then just, like, idled out. But that was the first big thing. The second big thing was, I was kind of trench coaty about, like, because I don't, like, at that point in time, I was only playing Zombie GG character, the pro survivor guy who wanted to make a survivor sanctuary in Roftwood. And, like, I'm coming across all these other people who have, like, a bunch of alts, and their alts are in all kinds of different groups. And I was seeing, like, conflict of interest where it's like, Wait, so you have permission in, like, for example, the Ridley Bank Resistance Front Discord, and you're asking to, like, oh, well, the RRF isn't harassing Roftwood, I'd like to play a survivor character with you guys in Roftwood, because it looks like you got a cool thing going on, it would be neat to, like, do it. And my policy originally was pretty rigid, being like, wait, you got a character in the RRF Discord, so you have, like, access to all that information, and you want like survivor access into the RCC. And I was like, a little like paranoid suspicion, then conflict of interest suspicion. So I just had a thing saying like, nope, like one character policy. Like if you have a character in like one of our frenemy groups or something, then like you can't have a character with us. And that was like crazy drama for a bit there.
Oh, sure, because I mean, people want to play with their friends, and if their friends are only like wanting to play zombies, then
I get it now. I've listened to a lot of people present their cases and feelings. I've kind of spent a lot of time sampling and talking to a lot of people in voice chats and direct messages, and I just and I came around. Eventually, I was like, all right, just like be honest. So my thing was, if I gave you access to the pro survivor stuff, then I'd just be like, hey, can you just promise me right now in this text message that you'll respect the rules that Kevin says in the game, where you have separate characters that live separate existences and there's no cohesion going on or whatever.
yeah.
That's how Kevin says it, and so if you respect to play the game the way the creator designed it, then I'm not going to make any rules saying you can't do that. If you honestly can separate your characters and you will tell me as the leader of this RCC organization that you promise to respect the separate character clause of the game, then sure, why not, but just tell me that you're gonna do that, and then tell me if you're gonna switch. If you're gonna have a PK or alt come into town, just tell me, and I'll drop your access for a bit, and then whenever he's not around, tell me and I'll give you access again.
That's so much to take care of. That's probably another reason why I was like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna give more brain rot, and then I'm gonna throw myself off of St. Ethel Birds, which is exactly what I did.
That's romantic as hell. I did not look at your character and see that you did that.
Yeah, I did that with her, not her in-game husband, but her in-game sort of boyfriend or whatever. I don't know. There was a lot going on with that character.
You richly developed that character.
She lived a full life. Let me just say, she went from rags to riches very quickly, and then just decided to give herself brain rot and just lay on the ground for a long time. I did get up, I don't know, a few years back. I wanted to see if I could still sign in as her, and Jack Neon was still there.
Wow, on your dead body corpse.
Yeah, just standing there and I think he was actively attacking the building or something, and I'm just like, wow, you're insane.
Yeah.
And then I just signed out. I never looked back.
It's kind of creepy at that point.
Yeah, I was like, ooh. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't bring my character back because that guy had a bead on me. He just totally wanted to murder Morgueasm.
Welcome back, Malton. This completes part 3 of my ZGG fireside chat with Ms Morgueasm of the Malton Medical Staff. Be sure to stay tuned for part 4 coming soon. The ZGG fireside chat is a post-apocalyptic production proudly presented to you by me, Zombie GG, and my guest, Ms Morgueasm. Thanks for listening, Malton, and as always, the pleasure's been mine.